Hi there. This is Datila with Rangers of Wrestling bringing you the It's Wrestling Time post show. It is Wednesday, January 4th, 2023, and we are reviewing the first Dynamite of the new year. And so there's a lot of speculation surrounding who Saraya's partner next week is going to be. And today, on tonight's show, we got it revealed. So Renee Paquette was interviewing Saraya backstage, and she sitting next to her was Hikaru Shida and Toni Storm. And they're talking about how Britt was being typical Britt and she was gatekeeping the women's division. And Toni Storm brings up the fact that she got her face fractured um, and she got screwed out of her title. Saraya goes on to say that she's learned a lot coming to AEW, and of course she references the Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter match and the Hikaru Shida versus Jamie Hayter matches. And so, like I said, Toni Storm sitting next to her, Shida sitting next to her, and she turns to Toni Storm and she says that Toni Storm is her partner next week. This obviously does not sit well with Hikaru Shida. She makes a face. Now, everybody, of course, is expecting Mercedes Moné to be Saraya's partner, considering the fact that she is now a free agent and she did make her New Japan debut last night, or actually earlier today, after she attacked Kairi Sane. So, I honestly think there's more going on here. I mean, could it be that it really is just Toni Storm? Perhaps, but I think there's like a plot twist coming. By the way, by the face that Shida made, I think it's possible that maybe Shida's gonna attack Toni Storm and taking her out of the equation. So then that would mean that Saraya needs a partner, and it would probably be Mercedes Moné. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel? Do you guys think Toni Storm is truly Saraya's partner? Or do you guys think there's a little twist coming and we're going to get Mercedes Moné? Because earlier in the night, Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D, also had a backstage interview, but she got interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And she was with Jamie Hayter, and they started talking about how the bigger question is when Saraya will get it. She says that Saraya doesn't understand what AEW means to them because they're homegrown talent. They start talking about how it took them a while to figure out what to do, and now that they're at the top. And she admits that Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida are great wrestlers, but she doesn't like them. But they're great. Britt calls herself the boss, which we all know Mercedes Moné, when she was Sasha Banks, would call herself the boss. She says Jamie Hayter is the killer and Britt's the pillar. So again, going back to give me 1 second, you guys. Okay. So again, this goes back to Saraya's backstage interview. Britt called herself the boss. Like I said, is that a hint that Mercedes Moné is coming? Or is Britt just calling herself a boss? Just call herself the boss. I personally think there's a twist. I don't think it's Toni Storm. I would honestly be completely disappointed if it is Toni Storm, because from the get-go, you should have just told us it was Toni Storm. Don't say mystery partner. Or you could have given us an option. Oh, have her choose between Toni Storm and Shida instead of saying a mystery partner, if it truly is just Toni Storm. But I think there's more to what we got, and I think we will find out next week, and I cannot wait. So with that being said, now let's start this review from the beginning. All right, so tonight's Dynamite, first Dynamite of the new year, first Dynamite with the new look. And honestly, I really did like the new look. I really like the LED boards. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be front. When I saw the color scheme, the red and the blue, I immediately thought of Survivor Series and WWE because Raw's red and SmackDown is blue. But I really like the whole laser feel to it. I like that they're using the white logo and the white lettering. I really do like it. What did you guys think? Did you guys like the new look? Were you guys a fan of the LED boards? Did you miss the tunnels? Let me know in the live chat if you're watching this live, or in the comment section if you're watching this on replay. But all right, and then they not only that, but they also changed the nameplate too. It's like white and it had like the laser in the middle, and it was actually pretty cool. Like I said, I liked it. I didn't mind it. So tonight's Dynamite kicked things off with Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho. This was a result of Ricky Starks rejecting Chris Jericho's offer to join JAS, the Jericho Appreciation Society. And honestly, this was not a bad match. Jericho being Jericho, he flipped off the crowd to start the match off. And of course, Chris Jericho doesn't go out there alone. He was out there with Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, who did cause a distraction. Parker caused a distraction, and Menard hit Ricky Starks in the face with the bat. That still was not enough for Ricky Starks to lose this match. But overall, I thought this match was a great match. Ricky Starks did get the win. So Chris Jericho is like on a losing streak. He lost to Action Andretti, and now he lost to Ricky Starks. Give me 1 second, guys. So because Ricky Starks won, of course, the rest of JAS came out. Action Andretti, who still had the scar, kind of reminded me of Zuko in a way. If you guys ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, you guys know Prince Zuko, the banished prince of the Fire Kingdom or Fire Nation. He had that scar right here, and Action Andretti's burnt or scar reminded me of Prince Zuko. So he came out swinging with the chair and he started attacking Sammy Guevara and Jack Hager. And he was about to attack Jack Hager again, Jake Hager, when Ty Mello and Anna Jay stopped him. And Ty Mello distracting him, Anna Jay gave him the low blow. Then Parker Menard set up a table, and Jake Hager powerbombed Ricky Starks through a table. And so Ricky Starks and Action Andretti fall victim to the JAS. I feel like we might get a tag match here. Probably Action Andretti and Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho and maybe Sammy Guevara. So afterwards, we get an update on Hangman Adam Page. He comes out and he says that he wants to say that he's good to go, but that he's still not medically cleared to compete as of today. And that he was told that if he came out tonight on Friday and got into a fight with Jon Moxley, it would delay him for another week. He was going to take a red eye and get cleared. Now, Hangman says he was going to knock Moxley's dick into the dirt. I don't know what he meant by that, but okay. And so then Jon Moxley comes out and he starts talking about how he is surprised that Hangman even made it here tonight after everything that Hangman has been through. And he's sick and tired of people feeling sorry for Hangman. They're feeling sympathy, having candlelight vigils, and Hangman getting flowers. Because Moxley starts talking about how he wrestled a torn bicep for 2 months, and that how seeing Hangman come out and play victim because he got knocked out makes Moxley sick. And this funny thing happens. I feel like the mic starts to malfunction because Moxley's like, "What the fuck?" And of course, they are in Seattle, Washington, so Jon Moxley does make reference to the Seattle Seahawks. Hangman says that he's not mad at Moxley because Moxley knocked him out. He's mad because he's been knocked out by enemies, by his friends, and he will never be mad at Moxley for that. He's angry because Moxley called him out and didn't let him get a word in and nearly took his career from him. And Moxley wanted to crack a joke. He knows that if Moxley had gotten knocked out, he would come back out for revenge. And he's had 2 months to think about being knocked out by the lariat. So then Jon Moxley basically says that the only joke around AEW is that he thinks is funny is that Hangman thinks that there won't be a next time. He said that he will see that Hangman won't get back up. So I'm actually really excited for Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page. I cannot wait for that match. It surprises me that almost 4 years into AEW, and Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page have not had a singles match. That surprises me. We get the tag team title match. It is The Acclaimed versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Now, Max Caster, Karen Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett's wife, was not too happy about Max Caster dropping that line about her last week. And so today in this rap, he mentions Dixie Carter. He says that Jeff Jarrett can't blame his loss on Dixie Carter. He mentions Karen Jarrett again. And he says the TNA stands for Total Nonstop Acclaim, which is actually pretty good. I gotta admit that. And of course, Jeff Jarrett is not happy about that. Because right immediately, he tries to give Max Caster a right hand. Well, now, my favorite spot in this match was when you had Max Caster put Jay Lethal into the ankle lock while he was looking directly at Jeff Jarrett. And the ankle lock, of course, being the signature move of Kurt Angle, who is Karen Jarrett's ex-husband. But wow. Now, I have to say, I wasn't really looking forward to this match because I'm not a huge fan of this feud or this rivalry. The finish, oh my god, like, we had to talk about this finish. So, Satan Singh gets ejected because he threw Max Caster into the steel steps. And I think it looked like he flipped off the ref. So a bunch of refs come out and they eject him. So Jeff Jarrett hits the stroke on Anthony Bowens. And Anthony Bowens manages to get his foot on the rope, but Sanjay Dunn takes Anthony Bowens' foot off the rope. And for a second, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal win. I was like, oh my god, this is not possible. Like, my heart, dropped. My mouth dropped. I was in complete shock that Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal would actually win. The crowd was totally against this as they booed completely. And then Audrey Edwards and the other ref, they determined the match would continue because they saw what happened. So thankfully, all was right, and the Acclaim got a victory, and they are still tag team champions. Thank God. I don't know what they were thinking with that finish, but I was like, oh my god, like, that did not just happen. And later on in the night, we find out that we're gonna get a no-hose barred on Rampage. It's the at Battle of the Belts. It's the Acclaim versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. So after this is when we get that Dr. Britt Baker D.M.D. backstage interview alongside Jamie Hayter. And the whole gist of this is that she calls herself the boss, which I feel like it's a hint or a reference to Mercedes Moné. She talks about the homegrown talent, how they're homegrown talent, and that Saraya will never understand what AEW means to them. We get Bryan Danielson versus Tony Nese, and Seattle, Washington is Bryan Danielson's home state. So this match was about Bryan. Of course, the crowd was going crazy for Bryan Danielson. Tony Nese was fully aware of that, and he immediately went after Bryan Danielson. But despite the fact that Tony Nese tried his best, Bryan Danielson ended up being victorious. I mean, that was a given. There was no way Bryan Danielson was going to lose in his home state on AEW's first time being there. So afterwards, he cuts a promo. He starts talking about how it's great to be home and he's feeling a little froggy. He's ready for another fight and he calls out MJF. So this leads into an MJF Bryan Danielson promo. It's quite long, but just follow me. So MJF comes out and calls him brain damaged Bryan, which I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. But he calls him that because, as you guys know, Bryan Danielson has suffered from plenty of concussions over the years. And the whole point of this, like, MJF starts talking about how he is a special attraction because he gets a big fat check in the mail whether he wrestles or not. He mentions that the crowd clearly loves Bryan and that with all due respect to Bryan, he says that if Lance Storm and Dean Malenko procreated a child, he would still have more charisma than Bryan. He picks on Bryan by saying that Bryan calls himself the GOAT, and just because he looks like a goat doesn't make him one. GOAT standing for the greatest of all time. The whole point of this, before I get to the point of this, MJF starts talking about how he is the best in the world, and he starts talking about people who have put him over, such as Disco Inferno, Eric Bischoff, and the smartest man of them all, Jim Cornette. And so then MJF goes on to say he came here as a favor to Bryan. That this isn't play wrestling, that it is pro wrestling, and wins and loses matter. And if Bryan wants a shot, he has to become number one contender, which actually, you know, the rankings haven't really been acknowledged or referenced in a long time. So I'm surprised MJF brought that up. So he goes, guys, I'm getting to the point of what this whole promo is. He says that Bryan will come out and wrestle every week from here on out till February 8th. And if Bryan wins, he will get a title shot March 5th at AEW Revolution. He says, MJF says that the EVPs and Tony Khan don't run the company, he does. And Bryan Danielson brings up how much Mark Sterling is a horrible lawyer. And Bryan says that he'll agree to MJF's stipulation if Bryan can pick the stipulation for their match at Revolution. And Bryan Danielson says he wants a 1-hour Iron Man match. And he says he's going to expose MJF. He's going to expose he has no cardio, no footwork, and will prove MJF is not good enough to come out and do this every single week, and will be the final nail in the coffin, and will kick MJF's head in. Honestly, I really, really like this. I'm really looking forward to that 1-hour Iron Man match because, wow, like, I don't think MJF has wrestled an hour and so far since in the years that he's been on Dynamite. Holy shit, like, I'm pretty excited about that. Like, what do you guys think? MJF versus Bryan Danielson in a 1-hour Iron Man match for that AEW World title. That's gonna be an epic main event. And even though the year just started, and as of tomorrow we are officially 2 months away from AEW Revolution, I'm really excited for Revolution just for that match alone. I cannot wait. So we get AR Fox versus Swerve Strickland, and this was a really good match. I was enjoying this match. Commentary made this match when they said that they kept calling one of the mogul affiliates a painted face man, which I thought was hilarious because they said that they didn't know who he was. The other one was Parker Boudreaux. I really did think AR Fox had this in the bag, but if you look closely at one instance, Parker Boudreaux handed something to Swerve Strickland, which kind of incapacitated AR Fox, and then Swerve Strickland hit the Death Valley driver to AR Fox on the ring apron, and then he ended things with hitting the kill shot. So, very good match. That finish makes me believe that maybe there's be another match down the road or that's going to be Swerve Strickland's tactic to winning matches. So we get the Guns promo. And they're coming out. They're wearing a suit and tie, like and they're out there to pay their respects to FTR's legacy, who have officially lost all of their titles, the 3 tag team titles, the IWGP tag titles, and the ROH tag titles. They started talking about how FTR has had a hell of a year and has worked a bunch of promos. I haven't gotten to see AR Fox in action yet. I need to check him out. I heard he's pretty good. He is pretty good, and I highly suggest you watch him, his match. He is extremely phenomenal. They started talking about how that as 2022 comes to an end, their week-old dad bods gave out. Now, when the Guns beat FTR, it all went downhill for them because they started losing all their tag titles. And FTR built this legacy in 10 years, which the Guns destroyed in 10 minutes. And then they play FTR's music, which they make the crowd thinks FTR is there, but FTR was just in New Japan. I believe they were in Wrestle Kingdom last night. So, of course, they're not going to be there. And so the Guns end this by saying FTR can work for any promotion, but will never work for AEW again, and top guys out. So obviously the feud with FTR and the Guns, it's clearly not over. And it's probably going to lead to another match with them. I still think it was kind of odd that the Guns beat FTR clean. But we'll see where it goes. It has to lead to another match, right? So you get Jade Cargill and Red Velvet versus Kiera, Hogan, and Skye Blue. Of course, this match was an okay match. It was alright, but the whole point was just to add to the story of Jade Cargill and Red Velvet. Of course, they were going to win. So do you guys think Red Velvet's going to be the one to defeat Jade Cargill or no? Well, I'm still in the belief that it might be Chris Statlander. So during this match, this match is all about Red Velvet and Jade Cargill. So Red Velvet walked out on Jade, and Jade Cargill immediately won, pinning Kiera Hogan. So it's gonna be. I don't think Red Velvet's gonna be an easy opponent for Jade Cargill. I definitely think it's probably gonna be. She's probably gonna give her a run for her money, but I don't think Red Velvet would be Jade Cargill. I don't think so. I think they're gonna wait till Jade Cargill hits 50-0, and for Chris Statlander to come back, and for Jade Cargill to finally lose that TBS title. So our main event ends up being the TNT title match. It is Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin in his hometown of Seattle, Washington. And Darby Allin, Nick Wayne was in the crowd, and so Darby Allin hugs him. And when Samoa Joe comes out, he puts his hands on Nick Wayne, and Darby Allin attacks Samoa Joe before the bell. He attacks him with the skateboard. Then he jumps off that ladder. And then when they finally get back in the ring, the match starts. And honestly, thought it was a pretty decent match. That code red followed by the coffin drop is what sealed Samoa Joe's fate. And so Darby Allin is victorious, and he is now the new TNT champion, a 2-time TNT champion. Sting came out and he celebrated with Darby Allin. And honestly, I'm quite surprised because I was not expecting Darby Allin to win here. I know it was in his hometown, and sometimes it's okay for them to lose in their hometowns. But I guess they wanted to give Darby Allin his moment. Where do they go from here? Maybe a rematch down the road with Joe, as Darby Allin did pretty much have to beat up Samoa Joe before the match started. But where we go from here, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with Darby Allin as TNT champion. And I forgot to mention, we find out that Jungle Boy and Hook in Jungle Boy's hometown are going to team up for one night and one night only. And so overall, I actually really enjoyed tonight's Dynamite. I thought it was a really good show. I thought it flowed pretty nicely. I really liked the new set. My least favorite, though, was actually both tag matches. Both the men's, the Acclaimed versus Jeff Jarrett and Jade. Give me 1 second, you guys. Was Jeff Jarrett. You didn't watch Dynamite. You didn't watch Dynamite? Oh, yeah, I remember you said you weren't going to watch. Was both tag matches. The Acclaim versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And the women's tag match. I like the women's tag match a little bit better than Jeff Jarrett and the Acclaim. I mean, I get why they had that whole screwy finish and with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal winning, so we could get to that no holds bars match. But I just felt like maybe they could have done it in some type of different way. I just didn't like that. I see that TNT title has changed hands quite a bit since Miro had it. I feel a lengthy reign is needed to make the title what it once was. Hopefully, Darby can have another good run with it. Hopefully, too. But the reason why it surprised me that Darby Allin won is because it seemed to me like Samoa Joe's feud with Wardlow was not over. And I was kind of thinking that maybe they would go for that TNT title, but apparently not. Maybe he'll feud with that for that ROH TV title. Mercedes might have signed with AEW. Really? Okay, well, I haven't seen anything. I usually check a Fightful, Wrestle Talk, and I mean, I might have seen something about that floating around, but it hasn't officially been confirmed. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out next week. And when you say sign, that could mean anything though. Sign like she's signed full time. She's signed between both AEW and New Japan. She's on a per appearance deal. I don't know. The way Mercedes was talking about, she said that she was gonna go on a world tour. So maybe she is signed to AEW, but she's not gonna be in AEW full time. I wasn't expecting Darby to win the TNT championship. Neither was I. I don't think anybody was. I mean, just because it was in his hometown of Seattle, I don't think anybody was expecting it. I sure was. And I thought Samoa Joe was going to retain, but I guess we were wrong. All right, but overall, that was, like I said, pretty decent show. I enjoyed it. But I'm still gonna give this an 8 out of 10 just for those things. But as far as Saraya's partner is concerned, I get it. I get why they said it was Toni Storm. I really hope it's not Toni Storm. And I hope there is a twist coming. But I felt that TNT Championship is being hot potato. Yeah, it seems like it. We haven't had a lengthy title reign. Well, that's an interesting conversation to have. What constitutes a lengthy title reign? More than 6 months? At least 6 months? 4 months? What? I would say a lengthy title reign would be about a good 6 months. But that's just me. But with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching, and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And as far as Friday is concerned, it looks like I will be covering 3 different shows: SmackDown, Rampage, and Battle of the Belts. So I hope to see you guys live Friday after Battle of the Belts. Bye.